I built a working calculator in Minecraft, but it sucks. So let's make a new one that's a lot bigger and might even have some new functions. So let's go back to April 2024 when I made this calculator, which is one of the few calculators on Bedrock, but it sucks. Yeah, it works, but it only does numbers up to 255 and only addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's see how this one works and what we need to do to make it bigger. Let me explain. Right now, the calculator can only handle numbers up to 255 or 8 bits in binary terms, and it can only do this much because of signal strength. You're probably thinking, what does signal strength have to do with anything? Actually, a lot. The way one layer of an adder works, which is used for every other computation, is with two inputs, the orange and the red, which are like the two numbers. Then you have a carry in from like a number below. And you have two outputs, which are a carry out, which is like the carry in, which is the purple, and then you have like just a regular output of the blue. The signal strength of the carry out is only 15, limiting the machine. So to make it bigger, we need to extend the signal strength, which actually isn't that difficult. Just put a couple of torches and some dust. And you're good. And if you stack an adder on top of this, now it can handle 16 bits, and so on and so forth. Now this would be a pretty short video if it was that easy, but adding those torches adds a little bit of time, which affects things in the future like the multiplier and divider, which makes things a lot harder, especially when you have those 2 ticks times 6, because that is how big this is going to be, or 48 bits, or 281 trillion, not billion, trillion. Now the subtractor is pretty easy. It's just an adder with the inputs inverted and a carry in at the bottom. And now we only have multiplication and division left, which are the hardest. So if you don't know, I used a tutorial for the first calculator because I had no idea how to make a calculator in Minecraft. But I can't do that for this one because you can't copy something that doesn't exist. So I'm kinda on my own for everything. But I'm sure it's not that hard, it's just math. Besides, multiplication is just repeated addition. So I'm just going to make a little machine that adds a number, stores the answer, and adds another number. But there's just one small problem. It is really slow, like 10 minutes slow. So I need to make this faster. So first we're going to have 2 adders instead of 1 to make it twice as fast. And we don't want to do every calculation every single time. So introducing this, a if-then gate. If you need to do a calculation for when this line is on, then it does the calculation. If you don't need to do a calculation or when this line isn't on, then it doesn't do the calculation. So you get the same power and also some faster speeds. Now we would be done if it worked, but it's off by like 10%. Close, but not right. So I looked at it, and I looked, and looked, and looked, and looked, until eventually I said, you know, I am done. I am literally going to write this out in ones and zeros on paper and do the calculation to see what the problem is. And surprisingly, that worked. And I figured out I just had a little signal strength error. Odd solution, but hey, if it works, it works. Now division, the hardest one. Even though I know what you need to do. First, enter the number 1 bit at a time until it is able to subtract, or when this line is on. And keep doing that until you've inputted the whole number. And we just need to do that in redstone, which is where I come in. And you know those 2 torches we added to make it taller? This is where it gets annoying, but I just need to add some delay between each calculation and we're good. And you know I used an if-then gate to make it faster. And this divider is accurate to 2 decimal places because we multiplied the dividend by 100. And after a little bit of debugging, I had a working divider. You would think I'm done. But we need to convert decimal to binary and binary to BCD, which is a little difficult. But not for the reason you might expect. Because I can easily convert the number, I just can't reset it easily. but with a little perseverance and redstone engineering, we can convert decimal to binary and clear. But converting binary to BCD, or what the screen can decode into numbers, is a little bit harder. You have to do the double table algorithm, which is easy for small numbers, but when you are in the sextillions, it gets a little bit bigger, like 4 million blocks big. So a little copy and pasting later, and we had a converter. But now we need a screen, because I'm pretty sure you guys can't read this. The screen is actually pretty easy. Just take the screen from the other calculator and paste it in. Right now, this is pretty impressive, but it could be better. So we're going to make it be able to handle negative numbers for each computation. Multiplication and division are pretty easy. If x and y are both positive or negative, then the number is positive. If they are opposite, then negative. But addition and subtraction are a lot harder, because in addition you need to switch what number you're subtracting if one of them is negative. And if they are both negative, then you add, but it's negative. You get the point. It's complicated. But I managed to do it. And I actually combined the adder and subtractor so it could do negatives easier. And now it can do negatives. So at this point, this is the most powerful calculator in Minecraft history. And it can computate negative numbers. Now we need to test it, which is actually pretty simple. Just do like 1 million times 1 million so that we know what the answer should be. So we are just going to hit multiplication and calculate. And I forgot to tell you, I have a control panel. Well, multiplication works. That's reassuring. So we're basically done. But you may be wondering why there is an empty slot. Well, my friend,
It's not enough.
we're going to add a square rooter. So basically, a square rooter is just like division, but harder. Because instead of inputting the number one input at a time, you input two inputs at a time, and the output is the number you subtract, and you don't carry in, but you do invert the inputs. So here's an interesting fact. If you attempt to add more inputs after you inputted the whole number, you get a decimal. And the more times you do that, the more accurate the answer. You picking up what I'm laying down? This is now one of the most accurate and powerful square rooters in Minecraft history. And we just need to make a little converter so the screen displays the answer properly. So at the beginning when I said this thing can handle numbers in the hundreds of trillions, I might have underestimated its ability. Because it actually has 64 bits, not 48. So that means it can handle numbers not in the trillions, not the quadrillions, but the quintillions. Man, I feel bad for whoever is dumb enough to try and top this. Now this is really nice, but it kind of takes a long time to enter the numbers, and what if you want to use the answer you got? Well, now you can with the answer button. So, I think it's time for the edit, or my attempts at an edit. With 64 bits of binary, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and a square rooter, this is the Bedrock Behemoth. Let's use it. Did I mention I have an on button? Now let's enter a number, and again, I'm going to use like 1 billion divided by like 1 million because we know what the answer should be without using a calculator to fact check it. So we're just gonna hit it 1. And another 0. And another 0. And another 0. Now the other number. And you know, we'll make this negative. So what calculation should we do? Let's start with division and multiplication. So just hit division and calculate. And wait. And we didn't have to wait long. One quick detail, when you hit calculate, it runs the calculation for all the operation. It just shows the answer for the one you picked, and there's our answer. Pretty cool. Now we will switch it to multiplication. And holy cow, there's a big number. We'll do addition and subtraction just because, and we'll even switch the negatives around to see the different scenarios. We'll just make it addition and wait. Nice. And yeah, we got it. That changed to a negative and handles that no problem. And we can change to subtraction and handles that no problem. I think you get the point. It can handle positive and negative numbers. Now let's try the square rooter. And we're going big. All the way to 10 quintillion. Why have the power if you're not going to use it? And this will show off its incredible precision. And if this works, then you have to like this video. If the square root of 10 quintillion in Minecraft isn't enough for a like, then I don't know what is. And I know you don't know what the answer is going to be, so I'm going to show you and put it right in between the two. And I'm going to warn you, these two will not entirely line up because I only have 5 bits for the decimal, not infinite, but it'll still be very, very close. And I think it's done. Yeah, you see, it's off by like 43 thousandths. And before someone comments, what if you try to square root a negative number? You just get nothing. I'm smarter than that, guys. Calm down. Rapid fire time. And there you have it, the most powerful and accurate calculator in Minecraft history, built entirely on Bedrock Edition. So, what's next?